Now I'm okay.
Oh,
Now I
that's so
can
sweet.
proceed
Oh,
and I can
thank
close
you.
out. Because remember, I told you I was just opening. I was just filling time. But I'll close out with where I took you. When the Iblis said that Iblis said that he would not bow down to Adam, and that he would lead all those astray, and Allah would find them to be unworthy of the position that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them in. Allah said, do your thing. And again, I'm talking our language. Allah said, do your thing. But you will have no power over my sincere believers. And then this same entity appeared again in the garden, in the Quran. But not as Iblis, but as Shaitan. Correct? What happened to old Iblis? How did he suddenly become Shaitan? Because there's a difference between the two. And I'm closing out now because the Queen is
No,
here.
well, please continue.
I kind of figured you was going to say that.
I speak through others.
Okay, well, let's go like this.
Especially like you.
Alhamdulillah. How did old Iblis become Shaitan? With your permission, I'll stand.
Please.
With your permission, I'll stand. Bamba Magda.
Farriah.
Hey. It's getting going. Now, how did old Iblis become Shaitan?
He became president.
Good analogy. But I have something for that one too. But we'll talk about that later. Because I don't personally believe that, but I understand. Now, how did old Iblis become Shaitan? Because Iblis is that rebellious spirit. Iblis is that part of us that's inherent within the human nature that rebels, that when it comes time when the adhan goes off for Fajr, we want to roll over and push the pause button. That's Iblis. Rebellious. Shaitan's something different. Iblis became Shaitan when he was in the garden, and not only did he recognize the fact that Allah had condemned him to eternal damnation, but he wanted to take Adam and all of the children of Adam to the same damnation that he knew that he was going to experience. That's evil. It's one thing to rebel, and we all have a rebellious spirit in us. It's another thing to want to inflict abuse, oppression, and enslavement upon another person, place, or thing. That's evil. We all got a little Iblis up in us. That's why we say Astaghfirullah. And we're going to do a lot of that. Astaghfirullah, 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 Astaghfirullah. But the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told in the Quran by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before you, O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, begin to tell the people what I'm reciting directly to you by the medium of the angel Jibreel, you, O my beloved, you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that there has never been a prophet that Shaitan has not tried to come between them and the revelation. So even the Habibullah, the one who came within two bowls length of Allah's presence, says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. What is Shaitan? Who is Shaitan? In a capsulized explanation, Shaitan is that part of the human nature that's not really a part of the nature, but a grafted, evil part of the nature. That grafted part. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about, and some of y'all don't. That grafted part of the human nature. What is the human nature? human nature, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that we are all born into this world through the womb of a woman, into this world in the toil and struggle. But we are born into this world in a state of submission. The human nature, by its created entity, is submissive. Submissive to what? Submissive to the Creator that brought it into existence. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and it is your parents, my parents, our environment, our circumstances, our whole scheme of life that takes us off the course of submission. But in our nature, we are submissive. By definition, not by understanding or ideology or intellectual thought, we are Muslim. Just by the reality of this world, of the name, we are Muslim. You can
Believe it or believe it not.
you can take it
Believe it.
personally.
I don't care.
Yeah. We are Muslim by nature. So when we choose to come back into the natural created order of our nature, of submissiveness, this is a big thing. This is a big thing. It's no small deal. Is it? Is it? Is it? Is it? Because everything in creation submits to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by its nature. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that everything in existence remembers Allah, but you don't understand the manner in which it remembers Allah. But only it's the human being who by their submissive will chooses to remember. Chooses. You don't have to be remembering Allah, do you, sweetheart? Do you have to be remembering Allah? By your heartbeat and by your breath. Good answer. You're going to remember Allah, I'm going to remember Allah irregardless of whether we choose or not. Every breath we take, every beat of our heart is a remembrance of Allah. So, now, and I don't actually know what the heck this means, but I'm going to say it anyway because they always say it. Without further ado, whatever that is. Without further ado, I don't know what the hell that means. I'm going to now give the mic over to my beloved Shaykha, who I have the deepest respect for in the core of my heart. I love her. Anybody don't like it, we can talk about it later on, but I love her. In the core of my heart. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that you were all together before I put the souls into your bodies. And I asked you, who is your Lord? There are rare occasions in this brief period that we call Hayat al-Dunya. There are rare occasions in this brief journey from the Lord of Power to the Lord of Power that we meet someone along the course of the journey that we recognize that we were together before we came into this prison we call You looking at her. I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt, within my limited level of consciousness, that our hearts are like this. And if she don't agree, listen to me. If she don't agree, the first thing I want her to say is like, with all due respect, which I don't know what that means either. I don't know what that means either. Sheikh, that ain't exactly true. but it's true to me. I be texting her like midnight. She be like,
I
shake
know.
again.
Thank you.
She be like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Y'all know. I be like, what is that? But I be texting her pictures, family pictures. She be like, what the shit? I can only imagine what be going through her mind because there's certain experiences in life you only want to share with your beloved. I only got certain things that I share with Shaykha. I don't even share with my own family. Because when Noah alayhi salam, when the flood came, and he called all the people to get on the ark, and his son took to the mountain. And he cried out, and when the water got up to the top of the mountain, he cried out, my family, and Allah said, he's not of your family. Your family, the family of the believers. So when I say I love this woman, I love this woman.
La ilaha illallah.
No I, no you. Just love. Love. Feel me? Feel me? See, that's why people say, why he keep looking at her, then looking at her? Because I know she vanilla, she chocolate, and everybody else in between. So if these two get it,
Then everybody got it.
so if she get it, and she get it, then everybody else get it.
La ilaha illallah.
Because I'm the Shaykh that America produced. You can,
Believe it or believe it not.
personally,
I don't care.
there you go.
La ilaha.
So without any further ado, I'm going to give it to
No
Shaykh.
further ado. Yeah, I just want to see everybody close up. I only wear these for night driving or for looking at beloveds close up. So, thank you. I feel so touched. You kind of melted me. So,
Who?
you know, who? Yes, who? Thank you. I feel honored and touched to be here amongst you in this beautiful Zawiya. And, you know, I was really trying to contemplate what I was going to say tonight. I said, usually I don't prepare in the Derga. I said, I have to prepare something because, you know, it's not my own ground and I have to offer something really special. I couldn't think of anything to say. So
You're
I
on
thought,
board.
exactly. So usually those things come to us as we're in the place because the hearts are the ones that inspire the expression, the words. So feeling our hearts here together tonight is very special. It's very, very, very special, and it's really in Shaykh Rashid's tent, under his tent of, I would use the word power.
Of
It's
course.
Allah's power,
Oh.
but it definitely comes through him and his outreach, his service, his servanthood. And we know that the Prophet, peace be upon him, when
Sallallahu
he
alaihi wasallam.
offered to be a king prophet or a servant prophet. He chose to be a servant prophet. So servanthood is our way. And it is, as you say, the way really of humanity, because
La ilaha illallah.
we're born servants. Actually, he called himself a slave, and that's a very high station, the highest. Because when we think we're a lord, we're actually beneath that which we think we're a lord of. And Ibn Arabi, the great Shaykh al-Akbar, said he had no lordship in him, no lordship left. He was pure servant, just like the Prophet. So that's our aspiration. And I don't, is this Women's Month or Women's Night?
No, this is just.
Or Women's World, or Women.
We know the reality of what this is really
We
about.
do.
But for
It's
the
a whole
sake
mother.
of those who don't understand all this, it's ladies' night.
Okay, ladies' night.
But we know the truth about it.
Okay, So ladies' night.
We know that Allah said that He created everything from the triple darkness of the womb and brought into existence
True.
everything.
And
the light
wrapped
of
in
Muhammad.
7 veils of darkness. And then we have to work our way back. We have to find our way again. So we know that Rahman is compassion. We know that Allah defines Himself more often by the name Rahman, the loving, kind one. Oh, and it's
La ilaha illallah.
great. Well, I'll share it with you. Beautiful. Good. So we'll put it here at the feet. The rose blooms for the nightingale. So, Rahma is love. Compassion is really love. It's all forms of love. So we have to find our love again.
Yes.
And, you know, where is it? Because when we grow up, we're children, we come into the world, we get battered. It doesn't matter where we're born, in what family, what nation. You know, that loving child gets battered and shocked, and its paradise vision becomes troubled. And so then we cover over, and we hide, and then we fight back, or we become another person. We lose our true self. So the path is really the path of love, the path of finding our heart again, and trusting our heart, and allowing our heart actually to break, because the first part of our life, we protected our heart. In fact, so much we put it in a vault. And so we wouldn't feel anything, so we wouldn't feel pain. And the second part of our life, after that age, proverbially Quranic age of 40, which is any age when we turn back to our source, to our Lord, that's the path of servanthood, of becoming the slave of Allah,
La ilaha
becoming the
illallah.
servant of humanity, of becoming vulnerable again, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and not fight back. So that is said to be the way of Jesus. So that's the way of Tariqah, the Sharia Tariqah, Hakika Marifat. So the way of Jesus is that, is to say, I've done all my fighting, my revenge, taken my revenge, had my anger, and now I'm just going to go forward. Now I know that Allah is creating every event. Every event is created by Allah. Every event is Allah.
La ilaha illallah.
So that, you know, even when things are very painful, we can trust that we're still in Allah's lap. We never really left Allah's lap or Allah's heart. And to not react, to not become angry, to not slap back. And that's not easy.
No, it's not.
No, it's not, because
Tell me.
after we train ourselves to not do it on the exterior, but we still do it on the interior. And we're angry, and we think of those, whoever it is, with anger and hate. It's even becomes hate. But slowly, by sitting with Allah, with the tasbih, with the astaghfirullah, with the allowing our heart to open, we come and we say, no, I'm not going to hate anymore. I'm not going to give like for like, eye for eye anymore, even though that's permitted. It's interesting, Quran permits exact.
But do not exceed the limits. But
Exactly, and it's an impossible thing to do,
Yes.
to actually retaliate to the exact degree that one was harmed.
Therefore, it's better for you to forgive if you
It's
don't.
better for you to forgive
If
and
you
be
but-
merciful. So it's always better to err on that side, on the side of mercy and forgiveness, even though we might be called a fool and foolish, even though we might feel foolish ourselves. And by the way, we're the worst judge of ourselves. We judge ourselves. We don't like ourselves. That's another reaction that we have to purify ourselves from, the self-hatred. And, and sometimes women have it more because of their role in the world. We've often taken it on ourselves and feeling obligated somehow. But that time has passed. And I think that's why it's Women's Night here, because night is the time of unveiling. So it's the time of the unveiling of the divine feminine. But for that to come about, we have to stop hating ourselves and stop putting ourselves down. And then we won't put others down, because that's what we call the limited self, the limited reaction, where we take the right over ourself, which is not given to us. God never said you can judge yourself, or you can hate yourself, you can punish yourself. So that's a more radical step, and that's a step in Sufism also. That's where we have to treat ourselves as well as we treat the other.
Correct.
So,
judge ye not, for thou shalt be judged accordingly.
for thou shalt be judged accordingly. So true. So not judging. Again, that's another hard one, not to judge. We have to, so that's called the jihad, where we are continuously struggling with ourselves, where we know the light, we've followed the light, we've grabbed the skirt of the Shaykh, and from then we have to struggle with ourselves, with our mind mostly, and give permission to our heart and struggle with our mind, hold our mind back. And so that's, part of this path of the inner. And that's why we need zikr, we need community, we need coming together so we can encourage each other, so we can feel the love from each other, and then that encourages us. We couldn't take a step without our community. Before I met Shaykh Muzaffar, I had great longings to meet God. I would ride out on my horse into the woods and sit there and wait for God. But I never understood that God, of course, was always there. God was on the horse with me.
You had a horse?
In Mexico.
Oh, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road.
I'm gonna take
Ride till I can't no more. We in Brooklyn, remember that? Strange things happen here.
Don't worry, my granddaughter was singing that song. That's
When we
how
hear
I
horse, we
remember.
like, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Well, that's exactly, he says it exactly as I did it. But I never met God. I didn't know that God was right here.
Yes.
I couldn't see that till I met Shaykh Muzaffar. So that's the Shaykh. The Shaykh is the door, ultimately, to yourself. Because it's really in ourselves that we meet Allah. Not out there. And in the other. In the other and in ourselves. It says the believer is the mirror of the believer. So, and who do we mirror? We mirror the face of the beloved. Because that's our reality. Our reality is Allah. And so when we put ourselves down, we are actually putting Allah down. When we put another person down, we are putting Allah down. So becoming conscious of that thing, holding these things in our mind, in our hearts, not letting them drop, not getting pulled into the matrix of matrix of what? Of the limited self, of Iblis. It's the Iblis who is not coming out there necessarily with a hatchet or a fire stick. Can be very, very, very subtle.
Yes.
Can work from within. And one of the ways Iblis works is to say, you are separate from God.
Ooh.
You
Allah.
are not worthy. You have to really hate yourself and punish yourself by, separating yourself from love. That's how Iblis works. I mean, in the more subtle ways. So, Sheikh Noor has a line that says, if we were, the Iblis strives in vain to convince us that we are not the truth, the haq. And he said, if we were not already haq, the truth could not be known. Because the only way we know something is through ourselves. So, learning, oh Lord, increase me in knowledge. Rabbi zidni ilman. And that knowledge, the highest knowledge, is knowledge of ourselves. Because there we will meet Allah.
Come on, man.
What?
Brooklyn now, do your thing.
What do you mean? You want me to-
You got them open now. Like, go ahead, take them when you want to take them.
It's right where we are. Because
Alhamdulillah.
that's the best place. It's right where Allah has placed us this moment in time. This is paradise.
Alhamdulillah.
If we make it so.
If
If we say, Ayvallah, yes. So this is the place. Alhamdulillah. What else? You want to?
No, I just keep interrupting with
Go ahead.
with my beloved friend because we've been talking about this